Hello, YouTube. This is Doug Robbins, and I want to talk to you today about a video I saw by a YouTuber named Small Afro. Um, and the title of the video was I Hate Professional Wrestling. Um, and he said, he's like, I think you can have both with, women using their like sexuality and, but can also like work or put on a match. I don't like that term, and I never think of it that way. I like to think of it more like if anybody's ever seen a YouTuber, he's a toy reviewer. He's a dad with a little girl, and he used to watch wrestling, and now he got back into it because of his daughter. And he liked seeing that, and from 2015 and on, they started having these you know like strong women role models for his kid to look up to. And it's like, well, fuck me, dude. Like, I don't know. You can't hate someone for that, hold that against them unless you're weird. But what Lumberjillville said was like, on this channel we respect women, um, but he's like, we can have crushes on women's wrestlers and still appreciate their work, and that to me, because on the Small Afro channel, he was like, when I was a kid, preteen, teen, he's like, I would watch wrestling. I just voted for the girl that I thought was hot or the hottest. You know what I mean? Um, and I think a lot of male professional wrestling fans feel that way. But to me, I feel like there's a classier way to reach those fans. Um, and I equate it a lot to professional wrestling. I mean, you watch, or excuse me, I equate it to like old 1970s and 80s slasher movies. Uh, Child's Play. You had Karen Barkley, who was a competent mother. You had Jamie Lee Curtis, that was a competent teenager, even though she was, shy and quiet and repressed and shit like that. Um, Adrian King in the original Friday 13th, shy artist type, but still fights back against Pamela when the chips are down. And A Nightmare on Elm Street with Heather Langenkamp, where again, I felt like all those women, from Catherine Hicks, Adrian King, Jamie Lee Curtis in the original Halloween, and Heather Langenkamp in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, they were attractive women, okay? But they were covered up most of the time. You know what I mean? Like PJ Souls, you know, flashes the camera, and people are like, oh, she's attractive, she's hot, you know what I mean, and all that shit. What we know is fine. Uh, Amanda Weiss has the sex scene where again you don't really see nothing, but you know what I mean. It's like because when I hear use your sexuality, I think trashy. That's just how I look at it. Versus letting an audience member have a crush on you and they root for you to do well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Halloween's my favorite movie of all time. Child's Play is probably my second favorite movie of all time. Conjuring's probably third. And competent, pretty girls. A lot of them are covered up, but you can still see they're attractive, but they don't need to be whipping everything out. Um, Molly Holly, hell of a wrestler back in the day, but now some people may say, well, you saw a lot of leg and you saw some cleavage in WCW, and you did, but it's like her storylines weren't trashy. Like she wasn't like Mickey acting like she was licking pussy for the in the Trish match. She wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, just like that small Afro guy was talking about, oh, and guys like drooling over Liv Morgan's and Rhea Ripley. And again, I think of Bailey. Um, you know what I mean? Like, or even Sasha Banks. I mean, you know, Bailey and shit, you may see cleavage sometimes. Sasha may see cleavage, but and the shorts may be short, but you don't see their butt cheeks hanging out like a Liv Morgan or a Rhea Ripley. You know what I mean? It's class versus trash, where you can still be physically attractive, but you're not going to reach the lowest common denominator. Um, Now, that may upset people, that may piss some people off. I'm just telling you my opinion. Um, because again, when I attack, you know, now, let's back up from that. Why I made this video was because what I think a pro wrestling company should do, honestly, is, you know, being able to approach women using their sexuality, or more what I call it, letting male wrestlers have crushes on their favorite lady superstars while still knowing, hey, she's good at what she does. No trashy, dumbass storylines. Who's in a trashy, dumbass storyline? Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan. And again, it's hard because anybody that remembers the Monday Night Wars, you know that WWF at the time didn't necessarily win that because they were the better wrestling company or they did better. In fact, WCW really shot themselves in the foot the more and more they tried to be like the WWF in terms of like trashy ass promos, uh, and going in the gutter, like ripping off, you know, Sable's clothes. Uh, we got our biggest girl wrestling star. It's like, oh, well, she'll turn on Vince McMahon and slap him at WrestleMania 17. Yeah, but your fucking wife is sitting there in a goddamn wheelchair, comatose, because you want to pretend you're Vince, you know, you're Vince McMahon. You want to pretend you're screwing this fucking hot top diva, who you also had just about every fucking male wrestler uh, making out with. You know what I mean? Just fucking stupid trash. Like, I'm gonna pretend I'm screwing my top fucking uh, wrestling girl while my wife is sitting there drooling, pretending she's comatose because she's traumatized about the affair. You know what I mean? Like dumb, trashy, and I hate to say it, bring right, but white trashy, especially bullshit. You know what I mean? And again, I don't see Dominic Mysterio as legitimate. To me, this is an Eric Watts, Greg Gagne, uh, off the top of my head, just trying to come up with all the bad situations. But basically, promoters' kids, or excuse me, successful wrestler or promoters' kids that were David Flair. That's another one. They're never. Yeah, this is basically Mexican David Flair 2.0 that does not belong in wrestling at all because their daddy was the nepotism. You got this fucking clown Dominic Mysterio who does not have one shred of athleticism, does not look like an athlete. Even the way the awkward, weird ass like wispy meat scarecrow, if that makes sense. Like, think of the gawkiest, like thin or skinny fat, however you want to look at it, just awkward shaped skinny kid with no athleticism trying to shoot a layup in gym class or after school. It don't look right. And it's like no one believes you with Rhea Ripley or Liv Morgan in this dumbass triangle that, and again, it's hard because the WWE fans are different. I mean, and they like different shit, and a lot of them like stupid shit that, like, this is why the promoters shoot so low because of the dumbass fans. That, because again, they're seeing Rhea Ripley as the new China. They're seeing, just literally because of the mullet, they're seeing Dominic Mysterio as the new fucking Eddie Guerrero. Was like, first of all, Dominic Mysterio could not carry his dad's jock, and he could not carry Eddie Guerrero's jock. So right away, you got those strikes working against you. And it's just like, I don't want to see this stupid shit. I mean, number one, it's not even like kayfabe right, even, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Like, we know Rhea Ripley's really in a relationship with that old fuck that likes to prey on young girls. What the fuck's, he was with Alexa Bliss, just, and he's too old for him. Buddy Murphy. We know that Buddy Murphy is with her. We know that Dominic's fucking married to some other broad. So this dumbass love triangle that, and again, WWE loves to promote because, again, everyone's like, well, Vince was out of touch and he was all this. And it's like, well, Triple H is a lot like him. I mean, Triple H, by the way, this dude that, cheated on Stephanie, or excuse me, cheated on China to go with Stephanie. And now that dude's got a love triangle fucking, you know what I mean? Like, a little iffy there. But it's like, relationships are fine, but it's like WWE will spend too much time promoting a relationship versus like the whole reason you would get that this love triangle of Liv Morgan trying to take everything away from Rhea Ripley, um, that we don't believe in the first place. And I kept throwing around the word classy. Now to finish about the wrestling stuff, about how fifth